Hey guys, Mr. Abyss here with Life as a Shonen. If you are enjoying the content in our channel, don't forget to like our videos and go ahead and subscribe. Hey guys, Mr. Abyss here, and this week I'm going to be bringing you issue number 1 of the series from DC called Super Sons. This is going to be a weekly thing we do. I'm not sure 100% yet which day I'm going to be doing it, but I'll release each review for each synopsis of each issue per week. We'll be doing this and probably Thanos as well. So keep a lookout for the videos as they come out. I hope y'all really enjoy it. I enjoy the series because I'm a huge fan of Damien Wayne. And to be honest, the series itself made me a huge fan of Jonathan Kent. So here we go. We start out the issue in a family home, which would look to be a family, sitting around with each other watching television. One of the sons comments to the other if he could have some popcorn. For a moment, the other child retorts him that no, you cannot. You already ate your own popcorn. He decides very quickly to change his statement and gives Reggie, the child's name, the entire bowl of the popcorn. As he's getting the popcorn, he even comments that his feet are cold and his mother needs to take care of that. So she gets up and puts a blanket on his feet. After he's all comfortable and filled up, he turns to his father and asks if he can borrow the car tomorrow. Now, mind you, these are pretty young-looking kids. He can't be older than 10, 11 years old. Should have been odd for him to ask for the car, but the dad replies to him that tomorrow's fine. Would you like me to get it washed before I bring it to you? He stands up for a moment, tells them that they are the best, and demands a group hug. I mean, he screams it out, and the camera, quote-unquote, kind of zooms out, and you realize that they're on the set of a TV show. But there doesn't seem to be any actual workers in the crew. It's an empty set. I'm not even sure it's really filming, but they're stuck on here with this child, and we're not sure why. The next page opens with a scene with Jonathan Kent. He can't fly yet, so he's speeding through a forest, but you see lasers flying by his head, so obviously they're in some kind of situation. He's screaming to Damien about, what kind of mess did you get us into this time? Damien tells him, in Damien fashion, I give you all the pertinent information on the situation. You knew full well what we were getting into. Jonathan Kent has no idea, because usually Damien's manipulating Jonathan. Damien's a little bit more mature than Jonathan is. It's okay. It's more, you're getting the dichotomy that you get between Batman and Superman. Jonathan's definitely a lot more naive. He's got his father's heart. He's a good person. Not to say that Damien isn't a good person, but he's more hardened like Bruce. He's been robbing it on the streets since he was 10 years old, 11 years old. He's been doing this for a while and has been sheltered his entire life. It's revealed that they're actually running through a forest. Damien is riding Jonathan's back, and they're being shot at by a bunch of robots. As Jonathan's running, Damien tells him to stop it, put me down, we're done running. It's time for Robin and Superboy to take a stand. And you get a cool panel showing a bunch of androids in the back of the forest that are dressed in Jonathan Kent's clothing and Damien's Robin costume. So I'm not sure really what's going on there at this time, but they are in kind of a situation and they're going to take a stand. Cut to 2 days earlier, you're in Hamilton County, 300 miles from Metropolis. This is Jonathan Kent's home. He's getting ready to get on the school bus to go to school. As he's entering the school bus, he has an interaction with the school bus driver, asking him, where's the regular driver at? The driver tells him that he's out sick. I'm filling in for him. Everything's seeming pretty normal so far. Jonathan Kent sits down next to a girl named Kathy, asks her if she finished her book report. She notes that it wasn't too hard. She got everything done. And they cut to a couple bullies in the back of the bus spitting spitballs at another child who's begging him to stop. And of course, Jonathan Kent, like his father probably would, stands up and prepares to defend the child against the bullies. Jonathan says he can't sit here and do nothing while someone back there is getting picked on. Bullies comment to him, bullies ask him, who does he think he is, Superman? Starts throwing spitballs at him. Jonathan can't do anything because if he did, he would hurt all these children. So he knows what situation he's in. The bus driver actually turns back and tells everyone to shut up, cut down the nonsense, and sit back down. They all reply, yes, sir. Continue on with their drive to school. Cut to later in the day at Hamilton School. School's been let out, and the kids are starting to usher out of the building. Jonathan Kent's got a big pile of snow in his hand. He's preparing for a snowball fight. And all of a sudden, the bullies from earlier on the bus show up to challenge Jonathan, the friend he was protecting, and Kathy in a snowball fight with their pre-rolled snowballs, which Jonathan's down for that. What is he worried about? He can wreck all these people in a snowball fight. And with that, the snowball fight begins. One of the bullies questions his friend and asks him, "You want to make this more interesting, Sam?" And these two look like typical bully kids. You know, you draw them like that. I don't know what kind of archetype it is, but every time kids look like this. Okay, so we commence the snowball fight. The two bullies comment to each other that they're going to actually bring this to another level. And the other one nods to him and understands whatever they had planned before, it's time to enact it. So they let him have it. If you notice, when the kids start getting hit by these snowballs, there's giant rocks coming out of them. So these kids have loaded in rocks inside of the snowballs to do actual damage to the children that they're throwing them at, which Jonathan dodges easily, notices what's happening, and his friend tells him that his head is bleeding. They put rocks in the snowballs. Kathy's okay, it bounced off her. And now the kids begin to get bigger rocks inside of bigger snowballs and get them ready to enact the reign of pain time. That's what they call it. It's not my name. This is pissing Jonathan off. And one thing you're going to notice with Jonathan in these series is that his powers are tied to his emotions. So if you get him going, he's kind of like Gohan. If you get him going, he gets a lot stronger than he's able to control and becomes more of a danger to everyone around him than a help. That's one of the curses of being Superman's son. You have these powers that can hurt people, but he does have an idea of it, puts his glasses back on, doesn't hit them with a heat flash or heat beam. But as this is all happening, and Jonathan's telling them to protect their faces and get behind him so he can take the brunt of it, since it's not going to hurt him, you see a large shadow start to appear over the bullies' heads. And notice it's another shadow of someone standing on top of the building. A gigantic snowball crushes the kids, falls apart, so they're not really hurt, but they are kind of shocked. And for a moment you wonder who it is, and Jonathan looks on top of the building, and it's the bus driver. Which, that doesn't make sense. The bus driver is a 70-year-old man. How would he be on top of the building, and how would he have thrown a snowball that big? Kathy comments that they must have an angel on their shoulder, and Jonathan, looking up and seeing the bus driver on the ceiling, says to her that it might be a devil, Kathy. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So they usher everyone back to the bus. Everyone's getting ready to go home. Jonathan runs behind the building to find out who the bus driver is, and it's revealed that the bus driver is Damien Wayne in disguise. So that entire time that they were driving in that bus, they were being driven by a 12 or 13-year-old child. But it's Damien Wayne. He's been doing it since he's 5 anyways. He starts to take off his costume to reveal that it's him so Jonathan can understand what's going on. And Jonathan asks him, "What are you doing at my school?" You know, Damien doesn't go to school. He was raised by Ra's al Ghul since he was a kid, trained to be a genius. He knows just about everything already. So it's not really a point of him going to school. He can get all of his knowledge at the Batcave. Most of his time spent being Robin, which is kind of adds to why he's kind of antisocial. Not in the violent sense, but like Bruce himself. When he's Batman, he locks himself down in the Batcave for days on end, trying to figure out the case, blah, 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 doesn't see much of humanity. That's what I mean by antisocial. Jonathan asks Damien if he's got any classes back in Gotham, or does Robin even need to go to class? He's homeschooled. So any kind of teaching that he does need to get done is done by Alfred. After that, he pulls out of his pack another mask of a red-headed gentleman with a bald head, and Damien asks Jonathan if he remembers his face. And it turns out that Damien had also faked being their substitute teacher during the 3rd period and had been teaching them all the stuff that he knows. This just pisses Jonathan off because Damien's just messing with him. But Jonathan believes that Damien was making all the information up. How could a 13-year-old child come in and teach earth science to a class? But like I said, it's Damien. He could have had a doctorate in geology at the age of 7. Jonathan asks him, "Well, why didn't you then?" Damien says, "Well, because my mother killed my professor and dumped him in the ocean." To which Jonathan starts laughing and is like, "Yeah, right." Damien's being completely serious. He's not joking at all. It kind of makes Jonathan a little nervous, so he comments, "Well, when did you start driving, huh? 8 years old?" Damien turns to him and said, "Well, actually, I was driving at 5 years old." Jonathan's freaking out now about realizing he has to be driven home, and all of his classmates be driven home by Damien, since he was the bus driver all along. And he's not going to just stop doing it. It's Damien. He's going to keep it going. So they get on the bus and start to head home. After that, we cut back to Wayne Manor. Damien's going through a little training session by himself. He normally does that. This is what he does during the day. If he's not studying with Alfred, he's probably doing this, or he's out being Robin. Bruce is there. He's about to go out and have a night as Batman. Alfred comments to him that it's going out a little earlier than normal. He says, yeah, but it's nothing unusual. Damien takes this as a cue for him to go with Bruce because Robin's got to be with Batman. He gets happy, jumps over Alfred, gets ready to get into the Batmobile, and Batman asks him, what is he doing? Of course, I'm heading out with you. Batman says to him, not tonight, you're not. You blew off your home study session, which is when he was messing with Jonathan most likely. And Alfred says you're behind 5 homework assignments. The problem with Damien is he's already so smart and been taught so much, he doesn't see the point in having to do all of this again. But I think Bruce is trying to teach him self-control, the ability to stay and do something and not go out and be Robin or Batman, whatever, all the time. To have a life as a kid, not just this vigilante. And he says that to Bruce. This is a waste of time. I know everything already. Bruce says to him, you still don't know enough to do what's required when I require it. So it's kind of Bruce keeping Damien in check. Damien gets a big head every once in a while because he is so smart. Bruce has to remind him, there's situations where I need you to do something. If you don't specifically know this, you're not going to be able to help me. Learn the rest of it. It's not like Damien can say no. Bruce hops in the Batmobile, takes off. We cut to the Kent household where they're sitting around and it's cool to see the dichotomy between how Bruce is raising his son versus how Superman is raising his kid. They're sitting at the dinner table, eating snacks, playing card games together. Jonathan's explaining how the day went, and he tells his dad he didn't know what else to do. He wanted to use his powers to help his friend, but he didn't. You really see how good of a kid Jonathan is here. Superman raised him well. He's a nice kid. He knows not to use his powers. He knows he could hurt people. And they joke about it because it's smaller things for some reason to Jonathan seem like a bigger deal than they really are. But he's a 10-year-old kid. Of course, he's going to be seeing things that way. Superman tells Jonathan, you don't have to wear an S or have a bat on your chest to be a hero. Just be one when it counts. Anyone can be a hero. It's the positive theme of this. That's why it's a cool comic. It's so positive versus sometimes how dark comics can get. I like them dark, but every once in a while it's nice to see a glimmer of light in there. The phone goes off, or you see the phone or a communicator goes off. Superman hears it. It's for him. It's time to go act and be Superman like he has to. Takes off his clothes and dons his costume, tells his family he's got to go, kisses them goodbye, and heads right out the window. A regular night in the Kent household. So you flash to Jonathan. He's getting ready for bed, lays down, it's all comfortable. Then all of a sudden, right behind him, you see a face appear in the darkness. And it says to him, hope you remember to floss, Johnny boy. Freaks Jonathan out, which, not a good person to freak out. His eyes are red. He's about to shoot his lasers. If you freak him out, he can't control his power. So Damien is playing a very dangerous game here. But he's Damien. That's what he does. He likes to mess with Jonathan. He also makes fun of Jonathan for having a 9 p.m. bedtime. And it's not like Damien doesn't have a bedtime. He just sneaks out, and there's nothing they can really do. Jonathan, standing on his bed, notes to Damien that, are you crazy? I could have killed you. I would have blasted you. And Damien, being as cocky as he is like his father, tells him that I would have dodged your blast and then incapacitated you with a well-placed kick to the solar plexus. Which Jonathan replies to him, and I would have dodged your kick and knocked you out with a punch. They're starting to get into a little sibling rivalry here. To me, they're more brothers than any best friends. They're the only other kids that understand what it's like to have their parents. Lois hears the noise, the commotion going on since they're arguing. I'm sure they're not being that quiet. She hears the commotion, comes by the room and asks if everything's okay. Quickly, Jonathan brings out his laptop, acts like he's on it, and pretends that he's had the volume up too loud. He'll get ready to go to bed. He's shutting it down now. Damien's in his full Robin regalia. He tells Jonathan that he's here because he decided to let him in on a new investigation that he's doing. Damien puts off a certain persona as if he doesn't want Jonathan to be around or if he's this kid that's a nuisance, but he keeps on going back and getting Jonathan, wanting to hang out with him, putting him in these situations. He wants to have fun just as much as anyone else. He reminds Jonathan that when we go out there, I'm Robin, you're not Jonathan Kent, you are Superboy, which means it's time to forget going to bed and be super. This is another common theme throughout the entire series. Damien always getting Jonathan into trouble. Jonathan always following Damien because it's kind of fun. All right, and you open the next page with a really cool panel that shows Robin swinging across the sky, Jonathan running behind him more like he's bounding. He can't fly yet, but he can still bound and jump very, very high and far and run fast. So they're traversing the city. Remember, they're still in Metropolis, I believe. And they comment that they found the building. Now, if you notice on the top of it, the emblem that is on there is one of Lex Luthor Corporation. Jonathan, having no idea, is about to break into Lex Luthor's facilities. I'm sure if he would have known what they were about to get into, he probably wouldn't have done it. But Damien only tells him what he needs to know. As they're climbing up the building, scaling it, trying to get to wherever Damien thinks they need to enter, a voice appears behind them and says to them, "Horrible weather for breaking and entering, is it? Can I help you boys with something?" And behind them is Lex Luthor in his Superman mechanized suit. Jonathan's like a little kid in trouble, but Damien's just upset. He gets mad when he gets caught. It's a blow to his ego. And that is the end of this issue. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll be bringing you the next issue. There's about, let's see how many issues. 12 issues out right now. We'll probably knock one out a week. So hopefully y'all are going to enjoy it. I'll have some pictures in it, as many as I can put. We'll see how it goes. Well, that's it. Have a good day.